So, at least in America, the compact crossover segment is the most popular, especially mainstream compact crossover segment. You can do so much with these vehicles. You can have it as a single person vehicle. You can have it as a family vehicle. You can use it for utility. And nowadays you can even get very fuel efficient powertrains in these vehicles to compensate for extra girth. And so the Tucson has always been one of the good options within that segment. And for 2022, you have an all new vehicle, and we're going to go over it right now. But before we do, be sure to subscribe to CarGurus.com. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, the entire front end is completely different for 2022, but my favorite part is how the LED lights are actually integrated within the grille. Now, those are just your daytime running lights. Your actual headlights are going to be located right here. Now, with this being the Limited, you have these pretty unique 19-inch wheels. I personally think they really look good. Now, what I don't think looks good is the side profile, but that's just personal preference. You guys comment below, what do you think of the side profile? Personally, I think the lines are a little too much, and I can't stand how this line here and that back line just decide to not connect right in this little area. And in the back, you're gonna have this line that comes down, meets right here, continues to flow, but in the front, you have this line that comes down here and then goes right past it, this little bit here. It just throws me off, and I'm not a big fan of it. So as we move to the back, this is where the design starts to pull me back in again. I love this light bar going all the way across, and I love how on these two lights back here, you're going to have details that basically mimic the front LED daytime running lights. You're also going to have your logo here in the glass versus being on the actual tailgate body, and you're going to have your wiper hidden nicely under this rear spoiler. Now, under the hood of this specific vehicle, it's the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. 187 horsepower, and it's hooked up to an 8-speed auto. Now, this can get up to about 33 mpg with front-wheel drive, but because this is all-wheel drive, we're talking about 29 mpg, and those are highway numbers. I think this is a pretty good engine. Most people are going to like it. If you want the best choice for this vehicle, I personally think go with the hybrid. You get more power, it's going to be a little bit smoother, and you get up to 38 mpg. And you're also going to have a plug-in hybrid that's going to be coming later as well. So inside the 2022 Hyundai Tucson Limited, there are a lot of nice creature comforts, and ergonomically, this is laid out pretty well. So everything I need to access is right here within arm's reach. I really don't even have to stretch out my arm. This touchscreen is very, very fast. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All of my physical controls, which are really going to be just touch sensitive buttons right here for climate control. Right below here, I am going to have an area to use this wireless charging pad. You're going to have your heated and ventilated seats for driver and passenger located right here. Heated steering wheel, a push button shifter, which is very nice. I can switch through my drive modes here as well. Deep cup holders, your parking brake, literally once again, everything is right here, and I kind of love it. In here, you're going to have a decent amount of storage space, large panoramic roof. Over here, you really don't have much going on, and I'm actually surprised there's not more storage space in here. I have a little bit of storage off to the side, nothing over here like you have on RAV4, for example. And because this push button shifter doesn't require any like physical linkage, I'm surprised this isn't a full pass-through going all the way over to each side. You also don't have much storage in your door cubbies as well. Other than that, I love the steering wheel. You have your cruise control, which is adaptive with steering assist, which always works pretty well on any Hyundai Kia product. The paddle shifters on here are pretty significant. They have a really good feel to them. I'd say better feel than even some Audi products. So I'm actually pretty surprised to see that. And then of course you have your driving display, which is very clear, nice resolution. You don't have any sort of, I guess, hub on top of it, so you don't have anything blocking your view. Very easy to see. And other than that, it's a pretty simplistically laid out cabin. So in the second row of the Tucson, I have good room considering I'm about 6 feet tall for reference, and I'm sitting behind myself. You are going to have USB ports down here, 2 vents. You have heated seats for both outboard passengers located on your armrest, and the recline angle on here is pretty crazy, so you can really get comfortable, enjoy the panoramic roof, just get even more space. And then you also have cup holders right in the middle. Now behind your second row, you have 38.7 cubic feet of space. Underneath the floor, you are going to have a spare tire as well as tie down points in the back as well. Now to fold down the second row, you just pull these latches right here. It's gonna fold them down pretty easily. Now get this, with the second row folded down, it's 80.3 cubic feet of space, which is actually more space than the Santa Fe. All right, so driving the 2022 Hyundai Tucson Limited. Once again, this is the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, and it actually performs better than I expected it to. The transmission is tuned very well. It does a great job of taking advantage of the power that you do have. And though 187 horsepower may sound like not a lot of power, it's more than adequate in this application. So coming from a stop, getting onto the gas in normal mode, it's got good pickup. You do have to get into the pedal a little bit to get the transmission to shift down enough to take advantage of the power, but once it does, you're pretty much good to go, and you should have enough passing power to get past most people. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch it into sport mode, see if I notice any difference here. So once I straighten out, I'm just gonna go ahead and get all the way on it. Doesn't seem like a massive difference. I think it just stays maybe 1 gear lower pretty much all the time, but there wasn't like a hard kick down or anything too aggressive. So I think sport in this is tuned sportier, but not as sporty as you guys would think. So I think driving in normal is probably the way to go with this vehicle. Now, circling back around to the ergonomics, it really is pretty excellent in here. I have a Starbucks drink that's just here, very easy to reach. If I had my phone down here, which I do right now on the wireless charging pad, very easy to grab, which I wouldn't do while I'm driving, but just as an example. And then of course, all of your buttons are very easy to reach. The touchscreen is right here, so close to me. And of course, the visibility is fantastic with my gauge cluster. The visibility out of the front windshield is great, large windshield, pretty good sized mirrors with blind spot. And of course, you do have the camera whenever you blink left and right that shows up in your gauge cluster. Visibility out of the back is excellent. I wish that the rear headrest did fold down just to give me a little bit of extra visibility when there's no one sitting back there. All right, so let's get into pricing. This one, as is about $37,980, which is kind of a lot, if I'm being honest. It does fall in line with pretty much everything else in the segment. Cars nowadays are wanting to give you more and more and more, which means more and more pricing. So that means that for that price, you really don't get a ton in terms of the engine. I think personally, I would opt for the hybrid. I feel like it gives you a little bit more for your money. If you're not a fan of hybrids, then I can understand why you wouldn't go for that option. But personally, I think A, it's smoother, B, you get more fuel efficiency, and then C, you're gonna get more power. So I really think it is the way to go. Now, until the plug-in hybrid comes in, that may be the even better way to go, just because you will get tax incentives, you will get extra benefits for it being a plug-in versus the standard hybrid setup. But I am very curious. Comment below because I want to know what you guys think. Would you take a hybrid powertrain or would you stick with just this simplistic gas powertrain? All right, let's talk about competitors, because the biggest one for this is Toyota RAV4. That's the one everyone loves. It is a really excellent vehicle, and the hybrid powertrain and plug-in hybrid powertrain on that are probably the best in the industry, especially that plug-in hybrid RAV4 Prime. Such a good vehicle. This is also an excellent vehicle, and I think it has a little bit different things to offer in terms of tech, in terms of overall storage capacity, and looks depending on who you are. But then you also have the Volkswagen Tiguan. You're going to have the Mazda CX-5. You have the Nissan Rogue. You have the Subaru Forester. The list goes on and on. There are so many options to choose from. My personal suggestion, get a list of needs and wants and just go out and test drive the vehicles that you think are going to be the best. I do think that this Tucson, however, should be on that list. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap up the review of the 2022 Hyundai Tucson Limited. The toughest thing with this segment is that all the cars are really so close. It's hard to say one is necessarily a lot better than the other. I think it really comes down to whatever your specific mix of needs and wants are and which vehicle fits that bill for you. I think the cons with this would probably be things like, I wish it had maybe a sportier engine option, and I think that the styling on here can either be really polarizing or, in your personal opinion, be better than everything else in the segment. So I think that can also be considered a positive for this vehicle, depending on who you are. But either way, I'm curious what you guys think. Would you choose this new Tucson over anything else in the competition, or do you think there are other better options? Comment below, and if you guys are new to CarGurus, we would love to have you subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell, and you can visit us on cargurus.com. We'll see you guys in the next review.